Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my review of Ben-Hur. So people protesting Ghostbusters, where are you to protest when actual, legitimate, verified classics like Ben-Hur are remade in the modern day? Needless to say, I was pretty skeptical, pretty nervous that they were remaking this film, and the trailers did not put those skepticisms at ease. They made them even worse, if I'm being honest, because those trailers looked horrible, and I was actually kind of dreading seeing this film. But it turned out to be a serviceable movie. It was an alright time. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. So let's just go ahead and talk about some of the positives and some of the negatives, and then you can decide for yourself if this is a sacrilegious remake. For the positives, I think that the CGI actually looked good all the way around. I didn't have any glaring issues. They didn't over CGI it and make it just look completely ridiculous. I think maybe some of the parts in the ocean were a little bit but it looked good. Also, I think that the film conveyed its messages without shoving too much, religion in your face. And I think really this is the best religious film we've had in the last couple of years. It was big, it was grand, it was epic scale, while not being preachy, yet getting the religious messages across to the audiences and serving that religious audience. I also think that there were a lot of really nice dramatic scenes here, and I think the flashbacks were used sparingly but effectively, and the actors, for their part, did a nice job overall conveying the emotion, and I think they were actually really good in the emotional scenes. However, I also think there was plenty of overacting, especially from characters like Toby Kebbell. I'm sorry, he's great when he's in that mocap, but here he was really villainy. And I think a major problem here is that we are trying to condense a 4-hour epic into 2 hours. So there's a lot of 5 years later, 3 years later, and it really cuts out a lot of that character development and character interaction that we received in the Charlton Heston version, the most famous version. That's the one I'm referring to in the entire review, just an FYI. And I think overall it just lost a lot of the heart. So we did have really nice emotional moments, but then the script would undercut those with cheesy lines or just over the top, ridiculous lines that were so on the nose with what was happening or with that religious message that they pretty much ruined the emotion that had just preceded it or came afterward. And again, they had to cut so much of the development out here that the emotional impacts were never quite as heavy as they were in the original film. Now, a big point of contention for me was the chariot sequence, because that chariot scene in the Charlton Heston film was revolutionary in the film industry. I mean, nothing like that had been done before in film. At this point, everything that shows up in this film has been done. A scene like the chariot scene is not going to wow today's audiences, and it's not going to have near the cultural impact that that original chariot sequence had. And I will say, they didn't overdo the CGI, which was nice. I mean, they kept it good. We know that horses were not harmed in this chariot sequence. But the stakes just didn't feel there. There was danger. I mean, it was actually pretty gruesome, and there were some gruesome scenes in this film, period. But the stakes just weren't there. And you never felt like our main characters were in danger. And that was the main problem with this sequence in particular, is that it's supposed to be the big, grand moment for our hero, and it kind of sort of is, but it doesn't feel like that big, grand, epic moment. And I think that kind of sums up this film. It looks good overall. Don't see it in 3D because the 3D was completely useless. But other than that, it looks good, and it's well acted, and it conveys what it needs to convey well, but it just kind of feels like a hollow shell of the Ben-Hur we're all familiar with and watch, once a year when it comes on TV. And I think that's a problem. So if this had just been its own standalone film and wasn't remaking a cinematic classic, I think this would be fine. Unfortunately, it is trying to remake a cinematic classic, and labeling the film as Ben-Hur makes it impossible to not reference that Charlton Heston version, and unfortunately it falls short on nearly every level. But as a film itself, as a piece of art on its own, viewed and reviewed in solidarity, this is a fine movie. This is a very serviceable, solid film. And I think it deserves a matinee ticket price. It looks pretty enough that you should probably see it in the theaters if you're interested. And if you are a religious moviegoer, you don't get very many opportunities to see quality cinema out there, and I think this is the closest we've gotten to quality cinema in some time for religious films. So, that has been my review for Ben-Hur. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below, and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on our latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see Ben-Hur? And what did you think of the original? Is it blasphemous that they're even remaking it? Let me know either in the comment section down below or hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!